Alright, hello everyone. This is the second match from Season 20 here. And over to the board, we have one event, one landmark, Lost Arts, which puts your plus action token on a action pile, and Orchard, which rewards you for having 3 or more copies of a particular action cards. 4 points to be specific. So, of the cards on the board, we have King's Court, the Mighty King's Court, and some tantalizing options to play that King's Court on. Market and Mystic seem the best. And there's a bit of draw in your Wishing Well and Magpie, but it's situational. Of course, King's Court on Market will draw 100%. So you want to get this King's Court thing going. Probably try to king your Mystic or your Market, and to do that you need to have a thin deck, or to do that reliably you need to have a thin deck. So which manner of trashing do you want to go for here? Do you want to go for double Urchin into Mercenary? Or would you rather go Hermit and Remake? I'm going Hermit and Remake. My opponent goes Urchin and Remake. So the reason for the Remake over the Mercenary is because it's faster. If I can get set up faster, I'll be in a better position is what I'm thinking. So Urchin Remake for my opponent against my Hermit and my Remake. Hermit, I love to open with Hermit because you could convert that into a Madman very early, and the big hand size is kind of similar to the effect Tactician has on your deck. It allows you to buy something that you may not be able to buy ordinarily, or you have to wait longer to do so. So I'm going to pick up Wishing Well here first instead of an Urchin. The Urchin attack will become relevant, but not right now. Later on in the game when we are cleaned up. I do want the Wishing Well so that I'm able to draw a little bit more. Magpie for my opponent, so that's an excellent pile. With Remake around, you want to stick as many Magpies in your deck as possible. You could remake those into Markets or Mystics. Beautiful. Lots of remake tricks on the board too, right? You can remake King's Courts into Provinces, for instance. Or the Magpies into 5 courts, like I said. And other things as well. So I am going to pick up back my Hermit. I had the option of converting it into Wishing Well, but I do want to keep it in the deck. My reasoning was, look, there's Orchard points, so hopefully throughout the course of the game I can slowly gain enough Urchins and Wishing Wells to get those points up and running. So this Wishing Well is probably going to fire. There's a bunch of coppers in my deck plus the 1 Magpie I believe I have, or I'm going to get one now anyway. Being able to remake Magpie is a big deal. Very, very big deal. So I'm going to gain a Wishing Well of the Hermit and buy a Magpie. Nice pile for Hermit to target down there. The Wishing Wells, of course. So the Urchin does attack me while I have the Madman in hand, but it isn't too big of a deal because I could probably still draw everything with the cards that I have in my deck right now. Going to play the Wishing Well first just to try to increase my hand size. That doesn't work out, but the Magpie does allow me to increase my hand size, and then I'm going to trigger off the Madman, I believe. Hopefully I could get to gain something with the Hermit and draw it immediately with the Wishing Well. And I can do so. There's just 1 copper in the discard, so I could get a silver and buy a King's Court, but I don't have attractive targets for the King's Court yet. I don't. What would I really king? Maybe Magpie. Magpie would probably be a decent target for me to king, now that I think about it. But at the time I didn't really see any of the cards I had in my deck as worth playing the King's Court on. So I'm just going to pick up another Wishing Well here with the Hermit. No silver for me. Maybe another Hermit, but I just wanted the well, and I'm going to remake one of the wells into a Magpie. So my opponent has quite a bit of those. I think he's purchased twice now and gained once, not sure, and still leave enough money to pick up either Mystic or Market. So I am going to go for the Market first as opposed to the Mystic. The Market is a sure cantrip. It also gives me the plus buy, which no other card on the board will give you, and I will need that at some point in the game. So you know what, let me just pick it up right away. So Urchins collide for my opponent finally. And so they have the Mercenary. I wasn't too worried about the Mercenary attack here because I could get thin enough and just draw the deck anyway, even if I have to discard a couple cards from my hand. It is going to be uncomfortable later on in the game. but I still believe it's you can work around the mercenary attack even if you get hit every single turn with it. I thought so anyway. I haven't picked up any urchins yet. I would like to be able to attack my opponent, but right now I'm just seeing more valuable things to do with my deck, really. So here I'm gonna consider what to do here, and I am gonna trash one of my magpies and a cop. I considered getting rid of the hermit there, but I decided to keep it around. Like I said, it could gain wishing wells and wishing wells draw, um, especially while you don't have King's Courts in your deck. So my opponent is now going to gain lots and lots of magpies and attack me with the mercenary. So I drop the hermit there, keeping a bunch of draw cards in my hand. I'm gonna play the market first, right? So that I can have a better idea of what to guess with my wishing well. Also, there's this nice interaction with Magpie, Wishing Well, and Mystic. So if you guess incorrectly with Wishing Well, you know what's on top of your deck. Then the Mystic could go pick it up. Magpie will also reveal the top of your deck if it isn't a treasure. And if it is a treasure, which in this case it'll be a copper, you're happy you've drawn your copper off the top of the deck. So that seems a win-win with the Magpies and the Mystic. So that's all well and good. So here I have Terminal Collision again here, and this is where I decide to get rid of the Hermit. Now I know Hermit is a good card and it's going to become influential later on in the game, but it's getting in the way right now. It really is getting in the way right now, so I'm gonna remake it into a sacrifice. I'm not sure if that was the correct thing to do, honestly, to get rid of the Hermit there. I didn't have any source of plus actions, that's why I got rid of it. It was just getting in the way, it wasn't serving a purpose because I was choosing to play my remake over my Hermit repeatedly, especially with the coppers in my deck. I want to consistently start trimming those out from my deck just to get maximum reliability possible, of course. So there you see my opponent's army of magpies. By the way, I haven't mentioned Lost Arts yet. That's because it's absolute garbage on this board. What do you put it on? There's no need to put it on anything. I mean, I say that and I'm complaining about Terminal Collision here, so maybe I should have stuck my token down on the wells or something. But I don't think it was that big of a deal. I would much rather pick up a market or a mystic or something on $6 than the Lost Arts token. But who knows, maybe it was worth it to put it on the wells. I believe here my opponent starts to remake their magpies into 5 costs, so markets and mystics for example. So they won that magpie split very handsomely, which means only they have access to the orchard points for that pile. So that's something I have to take note of. There's no way I could catch up now. I have 2 magpies left in my deck, and really the better off as remake fodder at this point. So another mystic for me and another wishing well. So that puts me, I believe, at both 3 for wishing wells and mystics. So I'm gonna get the orchard points for that, which is nice, of course. You would want to get your orchard points also for King's Court and Market. So still none of us have been able to get up to King's Court money. I did have a little bit more money than my opponent throughout this middle game here, but now with his remake plays he is able to catch up on the money quite easily here. I actually thought he was going to be able to pick up a King's Court here, but instead he opts to remake a couple magpies into mystics. I guess he still didn't have the money anyway, and he was just gonna it just picks up a market alongside it. So next turn for sure he'll be able to buy his King's Court. So he hasn't played his mercenary for quite some time, so he has a little bit more junk than me, but he has his army of magpies to pick up the coppers, so it's not too big a deal for him to sort out there. It does mean though that I've only been hit with the urchin, which is very nice for me. I'm now starting to feel the impact, right? With just 2 coppers in my deck, every time that urchin is played, I probably have to get rid of something good from my hand, which is something that I don't want to do. So I'm gonna go first here for the King's Court. Very happy about that, especially being first player. I mean, I'm happy that I was the first one to get to the King's Court, right? So here, look, the Urchin, and what do I get rid of? Well, I am gonna get rid of the Mystic. Not sure if that's the correct thing, honestly. I got rid of the Mystic because it may not draw a card. The Wishing Well for sure draws a card. I would like here to draw into my market and king that guy. I'm not sure if I could draw my entire deck just yet, so just to be safe, I'd like to just king the market. Probably go for something like King's Court and Hermit. That's actually exactly what I was planning for on this turn, to go for King's Court and Hermit. My opponent, I believe, actually has picked up a Hermit somewhere in the last turn or two. And yeah, that's actually very, very nice for them, especially where seeing as how now they're able to buy their King's Court and get plus actions. So they are able to play both their Remake, Hermit, Mercenary even. So, not a bad time for them to pick up the Hermit, I believe. So yeah, I'm gonna get Mercenary attacked here, which is awful. I have to drop one of my Wishing Wells, which is, you know, one of my few draw cards in the deck. So here out comes enough money for King's Court and a Wishing Well for my opponent. So not going to use the King's Court on the Wishing Well right away. Like I said, I'm trying to hold out to use it on the market. I don't guess correctly with my Wishing Well. It is kinda tough right now to say what's in the deck. I guess for a copper, because I really don't want that to be at the top of the deck. So I decide now to king the Mystic because look, I at least will guess the top one correctly, right? And I'll definitely draw at least 2 cards, so that isn't terrible. I guess wrong the second time, but correctly the third time. The Magpie does pick up a copper, which is always nice to see. And I am going to have, what, 12? The option of having 12 or 13 here. I choose to have 12 and go for King's Court Market, which will bring my orchard points up for that action pile. I could have kept the copper. I could have kept the copper because I only have the 1 Magpie in the deck, so if I want to remake that, I'll have to remake something else, and there's nothing else I want to remake from my deck. Nothing. I don't want to touch anything. So maybe I could have kept that copper just for remaking purposes, because the Magpie now is a cantrip. It doesn't do anything. Better off served as being remake food. So that's something I didn't think about, but maybe I should have thought about that. Just keeping the copper, it doesn't hurt my reliability all that much, I believe, and it does give me the opportunity, especially with that second King's Court now. Better chance of me seeing my deck being able to remake into a Mystic, draw Mystic, play Mystic. You know, that's effectively like $2 I gave up on this turn. Because I just wanted it out of the deck for the reliability reason, but wasn't hurting me that much anyway. So I'm hit with the Urchin here, and my opponent is actually I believe, what is he king here? No, he kings his Mystic. I thought something else. So he kings his Mystic, so he has the option to play all of his terminals. The Hermit does come out, and at this point we actually have to be very, very careful of our 3 pile, and I'm very, very worried, especially because my opponent has the Hermit. He could king that Hermit, get more Hermits, draw back the Hermits, and then just maybe empty the Wishing Wells, and then he would have enough money to pile the Mystics or the markets or something, which is very, very low. But he does something differently here. I believe he gains a silver just to chalk up enough money to get 2 King's Courts. So he has 3 of those in his deck right now. And that's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Why? Because he could go king, king, some action, and then have an incredible action chain, and probably end the game if he finds all his King's Courts in the right order. So this is what I'm looking for here. I'm actually trying to hold out for king, king, market, and then probably Mystic and market again or something. You know, I'd get 3 uses out of my 2 King's Court as opposed to just the 2. So I don't find my second King's Court in time, so I'm just going to use one on the market and the last one on the mystics here. So here, for example, had I the copper left, I could have remade the magpie and the copper, drawn the thing, play the 5 cost, right? As such, I have to play out all my action cards and then remake the magpie into something, which I think at this point is another market. Because I'm petrified of the piles, right? I don't want to push that mystic pile down any more than it already is, given that he has this potential of king, whatever. So what should I do in this position? Well, I still want 1 King's Court, at least for the orchard points. I have to get a hermit now, absolutely have to get a hermit. There's no way I play without a hermit in my subsequent turns and do anything meaningful. And I think about urchin, not wishing well at all, not lowering the piles. Maybe remake is useful, but worried about points, so I'm gonna pick up a duchy here. So just picking up the duchy and holding on for dear life. And hopefully my opponent cannot find his King's Courts in the right order, just as I was not able to find mine. So 1 comes out there. He plays it on a mystic. I suppose he had to at that point. So I'm happy to see that. But he's drawing through his deck now. Remember, he has still many magpies as well as wishing wells. So I expect him at this point to have both King's Courts in hand. But actually he doesn't, it seems. And he just uses a singleton on a market. So I was absolutely thrilled at this point to see that. Didn't think he had the ability to end the game here, but he comes out here with King Hermit and picks up Hermit Wishing Well and I believe another Hermit, and this is where I mentally resign from the game at this point. I thought he had it, right? Why else would he go for this play if he doesn't have it? So I thought it was over here. He uses his mercenary to attack me once more, dropping me down to 3 cards. The attack is hurting a lot now. He uses his hermit again here to pick up a silver, I believe. But that's the end of it. I was surprised. He only has 4 buys, which means it's not enough to empty the piles and win the game. He does have a slight points lead, but he can't empty the piles because he doesn't have enough buys. So I for sure thought I was dead in the water there from the time I saw him gain all those hermits and wishing wells. Instead he just goes for a couple provinces here, I believe, or just the 1 province, yes, market, and another remake, so, and a copper as well. So I didn't like that play because he gained a bunch of stop cards and it really is going to hurt his reliability coming up. What, 2 or 3 hermits, the copper, another remake, plus the province. I didn't like that unless you were going for the end of the game. Speaking of things I don't like, what is this? Where did this come from? How was I able to draw these exact 3 cards? Anyways, I just have to hope he stalls. I pick up on Urchin because it's not going to hurt, it's not going to make it easier for him to 3-pile, and I want 1 Urchin to try to get some orchard points going on. So I just have to hold on here and hope he stalls. We were both equally surprised that I stalled there actually. So that's a little bit funny. However, just have to hold on here and hope that he stalls, and actually that is what ends up happening. Doesn't have the greatest turn in the world, probably because he stuck all those top cards in his deck, and I think he's only able to come up with enough cards, enough money here for a single province. So that does put him quite a bit ahead, and I have to really think about whether or not I could end the game on my next turn. Chances are if he stalls here, he's not stalling on his next turn, and it is quite trivial for him to empty the piles at this point with the number of hermits and king's courts he has in his deck. So we have to keep our eyes open for hermit gains and remake tricks to end the game. That's what we have to do here, right? So I know all my king's courts are the other way, So I'm trying to save my markets, for example, and my mystics for those King's Court. So I'm just trying to draw through this part of my deck with the Wishing Wells, and hopefully the Wishing Wells will give me something nice. So it does here. I get one King's Court. Of course, I would love to see another King's Court and start to get my chain going here. So I'm gonna wish for Duchy, worst card I could possibly see, but I think it's a King's Court on top of the deck instead. Thrilled, absolutely thrilled. This is what I wanted on my previous turn and I got, but it drew me into a bunch of garbage. It doesn't do so this time, so now I'm going to King market, King Mystic, so I'm guaranteed to draw at least one card. Again, still guessing Duchy, finding out that is actually Hermit, and I think I go back to guessing Duchy at this point. Wasn't really sure about what to guess for. Maybe I could optimize these guesses a little bit more. Not entirely certain. So I guess for Duchy and I miss, right? And now, well, this is the part of the video where you have to pause and try to find, is there an option for me to win the game here? Is there some way for me to win? Right, so I'm gonna play this third King's Court, so I have 3 more actions to King, right? So here's the point actually where you should pause the video and try to think about ways to end the game. So I spent an absolute age thinking about how to end this game, and I didn't think I had a way. I just felt bad I was making my opponent wait for so long. I just decided to go for it. So what I'm going to go for is the Hermit pile out. So I'm going to get lots and lots of Hermits, then draw them back and use the Hermits to gain other things, right? So I was calculating, look, I want to use 1 King on a Hermit, 1 on a Wishing Well to draw everything, and then 1 on a Mystic to get enough money to buy things. However, that is not a winning line, because I would not have enough money to buy the things that I need to buy to finish the game. Instead, the winning line, well, a winning line anyway, is actually to use my last King action on another Hermit, one of the Hermits that I gained. If I do that, then I can win very easily actually, and that is the key part of the whole thing that I missed. I didn't see that I can use a King's Court on one of the Hermits that I gain off my previous Hermit. So at this point it's trivial to finish the game. I am just going to pick up all the urchins and all the hermits, and I still have enough money to buy a couple of provinces actually. So in fact, I fatten my orchard points a little bit here by remaking a couple urchins into Remake, so I have 3 of those now, hooray, and I just buy a couple provinces to close out the game. So tense end game here, quite tense in the end, and I apologize to my opponent for waiting so long. If I had a little more brains in my head, I would probably be able to see the pile out more quickly. But yeah, that is how it ends here. Pretty fortunate with his stall turn there. Pretty unfortunate with my stall turn, I feel, but that's the way things go sometimes. Alright, that is game 1. Thanks for watching, and I hope you gain something, especially at the part where you pause the video, hopefully. Alright, see you in the next game.